Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and we are here for a poetry discussion, which will appear, of course, in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel. Today's poem is known as To E.T. by Robert Frost, and it reads as such. I slumbered with your poems on my breast, spread open as I dropped them half read through, like dove wings on a figure of a tomb, to see if in a dream they brought of you. I might not have the chance I missed in life through some delay and call you to your face, first soldier and then poet, and then both, who died a soldier poet of your race. I meant, you meant, that nothing should remain unsaid between us, brother. And this remained, and one thing more that was not then to say, the victory for what it lost and gained. You went to meet the shell's embrace of fire on Vimy Ridge, and when you fell that day, the war seemed over more for you than me, but now for me than you the other way. However, though, for even me who knew the foe thrust back unsafe beyond the Rhine, if I was not to speak of it to you, and see you pleased once more with words of mine. So apparently, the story here is that Robert Frost had a friend named Edwin Thomas who was himself a poet and went off and died in World War I. And here we have Robert Frost writing a poem to his fallen friend, his fallen brother, he calls him, that there should be no secrets betwixt them. He says here, if I got the chance to call you soldier and poet in the way that I didn't get to while you were alive. There's something that I go to often in these, at least in readings of poetry. I bring it up once in a while in poetry discussions, but there's this old idea that, for example, if you have children, at some point, you will have picked up your child for the last time. You will not know it. You will not have known that this, today, will be the last time I will pick up my daughter. Tomorrow, I won't pick her up. The day after that, she won't even ask. And after that, well, maybe she's too big. Maybe she never asks again, etc., etc. The point being, you don't know when that moment happens. You have no say so, really, over that moment. Of course, you could always mindfully pick up your child one more time, but it just happens that you don't do that. Now, that's the way it's often talked about, but I think that there is something on the other end of this as well. There's something in your life that you hate, right? Maybe it's your drive to work. Maybe it is the foreboding idea of going back to school. Maybe you want to go back to school, but you don't really because you hate school. Maybe there's someone at work that you don't like. Maybe you work in customer service and there's a customer that you dislike. And there's this pervasive fear in the back of your head, that lady's going to come in today, isn't she? I'm going to have to deal with her, aren't I? And it's always going to be there. But at some point, you will have dealt with that lady for the last time. But the idea of her will still be pervasive in your mind. Now, we have here a little bit of that longing from Robert Frost to Edwin Thomas saying, I wish I had said these things to you. We said no secrets, and I meant that, but I was going to get around to that no secrets thing in my own time. Wasn't allowed to. I was going to get around to that letting you know absolutely everything thing, the next time when I was a little more comfortable. Never happened. So you are here, and I mean you, breaking the fourth wall. You are here watching this because of a love of literature. Lots of people lose the things they love. Literature is not an easy thing to love. It's an easy thing to love, but it's not an easy thing to actually, really love. It takes effort, it takes work, it takes thinking, it takes clarity of thought, it takes energy. How many people every day lose literature? And this poem is a perfect talking point for that, because in addition to just his friend, it was his friend, the literateur. It was his friend, the poet, that he lost, and so he is reveling in this poet's words when we open the poem, and he is hoping to show this poet some words of his own and see you pleased once more with words of mine. What would it take for you to I've almost lost literature several times in my life. Several times in my life. Upon graduating high school and starting on a difficult work schedule, working sometimes 2 jobs, trying to put myself through community college. Not a whole lot of time for reading and writing on your own stuff there. Several times in my life, I've been this close to losing literature, I think. I fear. I don't know, because I've always had it, right? But there were times where, yeah, man, when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I went straight into working 3 jobs to try to save some money to go off to grad school. Going to grad school for writing, finishing a bachelor's degree with English literature. Those moments themselves were very trying. I was working 3 jobs, one of them out in the summer heat. The summer heat in Missouri is nothing to be trifled with. Up on a ladder, scraping and painting a house. Coming home every day covered in paint dust to shower and then go to work. And all the while thinking, this isn't going to yield anything. I'm going to grad school. This money is going to almost immediately go back into student loans at some point. And then I'll be paying off this graduate degree for another better part of a decade. And there's no money in this, right? You're doing this for the love of the game. There were several points there where I almost just stopped, where I almost just took a step back and said, hey, you don't have to do this to yourself. What would that line be for you? You're here on some weirdo's YouTube channel listening to a video about a poem by Robert Frost about his friend about writing literature, writing poems. There is some point where that would no longer make sense, or where at least you would have enough days in a row thinking, just not today. I've got too much going on. I can't sit down with some poetry today. I can't pick up that short story collection today. I don't want to start that new novel today. And soon thereafter, it hasn't been today. It hasn't been this week. It hasn't been a month. It's been a year. A year turns into 5 very fast. 2 5s and it's a decade. 2 decades and that's a lifetime, baby. It's not an entire lifetime, but 20 years, that's a lifetime, right? What would it be for you to get you out of something that you love? And does just the thought of that, does just the idea, the specter that perhaps literature itself has a finite and mortal existence in your life, does just the thought of that bring you closer to the literature itself? That's all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.